Years had passed since her husband's death. So much time had passed that his name was only a distant memory. It was not a fresh sadness or an active loss. It was just something old that sank deeper into silence as time went on. She now lived alone with her little daughter. To pay for rent, daycare, and life, she became a delivery driver for a restaurant. She used her car for work. She delivered food in the afternoons, evenings, and nights whenever an order came. Her daughter was at daycare most of the time. She dropped her off in the morning and then went to work. This same routine made up her life. Then, at some point, her daughter started talking about something strange. At first, it was very simple. The girl said a man was standing behind the daycare fence, looking at her. The woman thought children sometimes see or imagine things, but the girl said it more than once. Each time, she said it in the same childlike way. She did not know there was anything unusual about her words. She was not scared enough to lie. She was not excited enough to be imagining. The woman asked the teachers. She asked the other children. From her daughter's behavior, she understood no one else had seen him. If they had, the daycare would have done something, but no one said anything, and that made it even stranger. It was not just about seeing a man, it was that only her daughter saw him. A few days later, her daughter came home with a drawing from daycare. On the paper, she had drawn herself next to her mother. Two simple people with round faces and usual colors. But a little farther away, a dark man stood there. He was not drawn clearly or neatly. He was more like a human-shaped stain, a dark presence that watched them from a distance. The girl said in her simple way that this was the man. The woman kept the drawing. She looked at it several times and then put it in the kitchen drawer. From that moment, she felt something had shifted in her life, but she could not say what it was. Around the same time, the strange order started. A specific building, always the same address, and always a fixed request. This lady must deliver the order. At first, she thought it was a typing mistake. Then she thought maybe the customer had seen her before. But this order came more than once or twice. It repeated several times. Every time, the same building, the same tone, the same request, and more importantly, the same amount, $20, and always a $5 tip. No less, no more. It felt like something precise and calculated, like the person wanted to keep the pattern. The woman would take the food, leave it at the door, pick up the money from beside the door, and leave. In all those times, no one opened the door. Just the closed space, the silent hallway, and sometimes a very soft sound of wind from inside the apartment. This sound slowly became familiar to her. Whenever she saw that building, before even ringing, she would sense the wind. It seemed to come through a window inside. She herself did not know why this sound stayed in her mind. Maybe because in that heavy silence, this one sound showed something was there, something alive, something flowing. After this happened a few times, her curiosity grew, but not yet enough to get involved. Just that strange pattern remained in her mind. The old building, the fixed orders, $20, $5 tip, and the sound of wind. Then came that day, The order was like all the others. The woman picked up the food and went. The building was the same. Same floor, same silence. But when she arrived, she saw the apartment door was slightly open. She stood there for a few seconds. She did not know exactly what she was waiting for. Maybe a sound, a movement, or someone to say she had come to the wrong place. But nothing happened. Just the half-open door and the same silence. The woman called out several times. No answer came. Then, very slowly, she stepped forward. When she entered, the first thing she understood was that the apartment was not empty, but no one was visible. The silence was even heavier than outside, and again, that sound of wind came. This time clearer, closer, from somewhere inside. She paused for a moment and then realized the sound came from a window that was left open, letting the wind blow in. The apartment was too ordinary, but a kind of cold disorder flowed through it. On the table, there were several pizza boxes. It was clear they had once held food, but they had never been eaten. They had been left untouched and had rotted there. The smell of age and decay spread in the air. It was not sharp or strong, but it was enough to make her hold her breath without thinking. Her eyes fell on the fridge. A photo of her own daughter was stuck on it. The exact same photo. Not similar, not a look-alike, that very photo. For a moment, her brain refused to accept it. She moved forward. It was as if her body moved before her mind. Her hand trembled, but she pulled the photo off the fridge. Just then, one of the boxes on the table fell and hit the floor with a dry sound. She jumped back a step in fear. And right at that moment, the entrance door slammed shut with a heavy sound. This time, she did not hesitate. The fear was not from understanding. It was like an attack. She turned to the door, her hands shaking. She grabbed the lock, opened the door, and fled. She did not even look back. She just rushed out of the building, got in her car, and drove home without knowing how she got there. That night, she held her daughter tightly and slept with her. Not out of habit, but out of need. It was as if only her daughter's body next to hers could prove she was still in the real world. It took her a long time to fall asleep. Every small sound in the house sounded like that door closing. Every wind sound was like the one inside that apartment. When she woke up in the morning, the first thing she remembered was the photo. She looked for it. In her bag, on the table, next to the bed, under the pillow, in her clothes pocket. It was not there. She was sure she had taken that photo from the apartment. She was sure. But now, it was nowhere to be found. It was as if she had never brought it with her. This part of the story pressed on her even more than the house itself. Because if she had not brought the photo, then what had she seen? In the following days, those orders never came again. No message, no address, no strange request. That itself was strange, but she could not bring herself to go back to that building. Still, once when she had to pass by that area, she saw a neighbor. Out of fear, and maybe to get an answer, she asked if he knew the owner of that unit. The man looked at her with surprise. He said he had never seen anyone there. He even thought the unit was empty. The woman said nothing. She just stood there and looked at the building, at the windows, at the door, at the place where the wind could have come in. And then, without wanting to, she remembered her daughter. She remembered how her daughter used to watch that man, the man behind the daycare fence. She remembered the drawing her daughter made. In it, a dark man stared at them from far away. When she returned home that night, her eyes fell on the fridge. That same photo of her daughter was stuck there. Not in her bag, not in her pocket, not anywhere else, just on the fridge. Slowly, she stepped forward. She took the photo off and turned it over. On the back, something was written. "I have come here next to you."